Can you store ammo in your magazine for a long extended period? That is the question. Hi folks, GMO Studios here. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to talk about magazines and the ability to be able to leave ammo in it for extended long period without weakening the spring. As you can see, I use the clear view magazines that I have here, that you can see the spring inside, how it's formed. Basically, there's a lot of different theories out there circulating, but I wanted to break it down to exactly what it is, which is physics or science. So if you're using a magazine and you're storing ammo in here over a long time, you're not really using the magazine, are you? So what exactly makes the spring work is what is called elastic potential energy. And what that exactly is when a spring is formed in a specific shape, it's allowed to change it can be either compressed or stretched an equal amount to its formation without losing its formation. So what you're doing is, when you're loading this spring, which has elastic energy, you're pressing it down. It's already formed at a certain height. So when you're pressing it down equal amount that way, what you're doing is just basically allowing it to convert into potential energy. This does not create energy, but potential energy. So it's not like kinetic energy, or it's not a form of constant energy that's being utilized. It's not plastic deformation. It's electric deformation. So plastic deformation would be more when you take this and you squeeze it and I break it. So I'm using energy to change its form, right? So it permanently breaks. It permanently changes shape. But when you have a spring which is formed a certain shape, and you basically just compress it or whatever the case might be, as long as you don't go above its potential, you're not going to be able to weaken the spring. The only thing that with time will happen, because again, potential energy is, again, it's power, it's energy, it's measured in joules. You can lose the spring tension with heat, because heat is an energy, right? So with that in mind, depending on how you store your magazines, then I would say over a long time, you're going to lose some of the spring tension. But the thing is, with all springs have some degree of plastic deformation, okay? And some energy is always transferred through new forms, okay? And that's why heat is what your main factor is here. It's not the fact that you're compressing the spring. The spring is actually made in order to go back to its original form, due to the fact that we have plastic deformation that's occurring. Again, if you take the spring and I pull it apart twice the length and then try to put it back to and release it, it will not go back to its original state, because I've gone beyond its limit. But if you work within the allowable limits, that's why the spring here is basically it's, when it comes out of manufacture, it's made length, a certain length, so that way you can use the gun with the amount of pressure that is required in order to be able to feed the chamber. So therefore, as long as you don't exceed that, you're fine. Again, be careful, because there's other factors that go into play. The quality of the material is also a big factor. If you have a cheap magazine, I don't know, made back in 1950 something, in some developing country and they don't use the best of steel, or they don't have the best of steel to work with, then you might have some kind of problems. But all modern magazines today seem to be of good quality, and this is not the factor. I would also suggest that if you do use these magazines, or any magazine for that matter, that and you use them to store your ammo, because it's good to have it stored, ready to use. I mean, there's no sense in going to the range and you're sitting there playing with the ammo all day. You want to go out there and shoot. You don't want to sit there and waste time, right? So you want, at least the first time you go out there, you're already ready to lock and load, and away you go. Start target practicing, or when you're hunting. So you have an extra one in your pocket. It's already loaded, and if you need to switch over to another type of ammo, because you're, instead of maybe you're going for coyote, but then you see a deer and it's deer season, and you have another magazine. At least it's loaded, ready to go. You're not going to do that while you're trying to stay quiet in the bush. So most modern magazines today are of good quality, so you don't have that issue. I suggest over several months that you recycle your ammo through your magazines, just to make sure that you get the just for the sake of just doing it. You're not gonna lose that much tension just by doing that every 6 months. Now, with what will make this tension dissipate is the fact of the excessive usage, and that we're talking about now a long time. I'm not sure how much shooting you do, but I mean, there's people that use their magazines quite extensively, and I would say they still have many years of good quality enjoyment of their magazine. I don't think this would be any issue. Time is a factor, and I mean, unless we have an actual proof, and there isn't, of someone storing a magazine for a lifetime, which it has, we can say that maybe it loses a half an inch of tension, or length, I should say, at the end of them. There is some videos out there that show that people have had them for like 7-8 years loaded, and the springs are like slightly off, but not enough to affect your the usage of your firearm effectively. So it's not a big factor. For the average person, I would say yes, you can do it. If you have some extreme how do I put it, unless you're fighting the bush and you're going through some really rugged stuff, usage, and you're applying this in some kind of heat, or I'm not sure, like anything that would change the state of the metal, then I would say that that's the only time that you would lose its elastic potential, elastic deformation. Otherwise, you can leave it there like for years, really. I hope that answers your question. So for the average person, yes, it's okay to do so. There is some extreme measures, but you know what? If you're using this magazine and you're using it under extreme measures for whatever reason, you're probably in the army or the police force, which you don't have to worry about the cost of replacing this. Or if you used it for 10 years excessively, and after 10 years you feel that it needs to be changed for whatever reason, even if it's lost its ability to sustain its shape when it's compressed, 10 years, $30, not bad. I would say by then you probably need another magazine, or maybe another firearm by then. Probably your barrel has worn out quicker than this has. So having said that, hey, anyways, that's enough for now, guys. As you can see in the background and on my head, I support the CCFR. Hope you do too. It's a good time to do it with all the crazy things that are going out there in our country. You take care.